Well, if you're gonna call your game something as simple as 140, it's nice to have it so stylized like that.
Yeah, so based off the title, you already know what kind of game this is, right?
Absolutely not.
Oh, good. Now, 140 is actually the beats per minute that the music in this game is based off of, which should kind of tell you right there. This is going to be a rhythm-based game.
Okay.
Not just any kind, though. Rhythm-based platformer, which I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
There was a game, and I'm gonna sound ridiculous because I don't remember the name of it, but there was a rhythm-based platformer that Beck wrote some music for.
Oh, really?
I specifically remember that. It was PS3 era, I believe.
It's a shame you don't remember the name of that.
I know.
If you remember what the name of the game is, let me know. I'd love to check that out.
Sure, we can look it up after the fact, but unfortunately I don't think it's gonna come to
Yeah, do some post commentary here.
Right.
Throw it in like you knew it all along. So now that we've put their ball in their hole, we have these mixer faders, which are activated now and bring us up and down. And because it's rhythm-based, there are quite a few points in the game where it's down to patience. Once you've got an idea of what the pattern is for something, and you just have to be patient waiting for everything to line up in the way that's either safe for you to proceed or in the way where you can pick it up.
Okay.
So you see what's going on here. It's one of those situations right there.
Yeah. This is like double whammy for me because I feel like I don't really have natural rhythm, and then I'm not very good at platformers, so like games like this seem double hard.
So if you ever decide that life is just going a little bit too good for you, we've got the game for you.
Can you not? No, you can stand on them when they're moving. Alright.
That was me dying right there.
Oh.
Because the block appeared on top of me
Oh,
while I was
okay.
in its vicinity.
Gotcha.
And that's something that'll come up again later.
So it seems like at least part of it is you bring these balls to
Yes, you're bringing the balls into the
checkpoint,
holes. And
whatever
that
it's
changes the
supposed to be.
level. It adds. It usually adds a new mechanic.
Okay.
Anything from activating platforms to make a move to changing gravity.
Those little staticky elements are kind of interesting.
And whenever you see that, that means you'll get dead if you touch them.
Makes sense.
Oh, does it?
I mean, one that doesn't really make sense, but it's logical enough. I don't know if there's anything particularly about staticky things that have to kill you, but... Fast forwarding a little
Oh yeah,
there.
there's a lot of that. Not quite so much as in other games that I've done before, but... Well, that's a lie. There's one point later where there's quite a bit of that.
Alright.
The final boss of this game is a real jerk. But now is not the time for such things.
So I like how the background is both like waveform, but also kind of seems like a cityscape.
Yeah, I think it's doing the volume peaks.
Yeah. Yeah, not really a waveform, but the volume, right?
Or equalization peaks, most likely. It'd be interesting to see if that's the actual EQ right there, or if it's just a stylized thing.
Oh, does that push you upward?
That's right, yeah, it bounces you. It's kind of like a trampoline that you don't have to jump on.
Gotcha. I like the music, which of course for a game like this is pretty important.
Oh good, because you're going to be hearing a lot of this.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna, bump you up into the death.
All up into the death. So you have to jump. And then be quick about it. You got just enough time to get under it.
Yeah.
I think there's a good balance in this game between parts that are intense and then these little bits between them that are kind of a lull. The pacing never feels like it's an assault or anything. It makes the game experience a lot more easygoing. Don't worry, I didn't leave in every death. Just enough to give you an idea of what's going on.
Right.
What I like about this, unlike another platformer that I played earlier, Love, if you remember that one, this one introduces game mechanics and they keep coming back.
Not just a one and done thing.
In later, yeah.
Why is he running away from you?
Oh, because he's a little jerk. Here I come. I'm gonna get you. Came and got you. Follow me, you little squirt. And also, unlike you have to win the game, which I think was the last one that I played through.
Sounds right.
In this one, there are things that do need to be lined up in a rhythmic fashion, but they're not randomized and out of sync. They're always synchronized. So if you can't get the rhythm, it really is your own fault.
So this is a boss fight.
This is a boss fight.
I would imagine.
This is the closest thing to bullet hell that this game gets.
Which is really not too bad.
No.
Doesn't seem like anyway.
Well, there's a final form that happens that changes it up a bit. But for now, we just enjoyed the music. So now he starts moving and he lays 3 mines that blow open in, I think, 6 different directions here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Let's skip ahead a bit.
I can see like finding his little pattern.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
But I think I have it sorted right here. So that's that. So we're back to the beginning. If this was my first time playing through it, only the first 2 of those balls would have dropped down. Those are each levels.
Okay.
So level 1 would have been the only one to drop down at the beginning of the game, my first time through, and then the second one comes down after you beat level 1. So it's that kind of thing.
Okay, I gotcha. So this is your second time playing, so it
Right.
looks a little different. Okay.
Another new mechanic introduced here. I think the secret of a good game design is to introduce things in a measured, sort of metered way, but also in a way that doesn't feel like a measured way. And I think this game does a really good job of that in introducing new concepts without being too hand-holdy about it.
Like those games where like there's like text on the screen, every single new screen. you
Yeah, it
enter.
would be real easy to throw in text like,
Yeah.
now in this thing there's going to be a snake of blocks that you need to wait for before it forms. You know, a lot of games would do that sort of
Right.
tutorial aspect. But it's the strength of a good game design when you don't need to do that. When the game just plays to the point where you can figure it out. Like a concept like that right there. You know, it's going to appear and then it's going to
Ooh.
disappear. Yeah.
Snafuja.
I should have known.
He snafu'd ya.
Missed me. A
Did
part
you
like
see
this,
that square before? Because I didn't.
Yeah. I was about
Okay.
to say, I feel like a part like that, it would have maybe been even stronger if they wouldn't have had an offset color for where the blocks are going to appear. Give it a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty subtle difference. I'll give him that, but I think that helps it from being kind of ridiculous. You don't want it to be too unfair.
Well, once again, I don't think it would be unfair. I would prefer it to be a little bit more challenging there.
I guess.
But yeah, that does kind of skew on the sort of border between
Yeah.
games where you need to die to know what happens next.
Right. Like I can't help
kind of
but
bullshit.
think of the AVGN game that they
Oh
made,
god, that thing, yeah.
which was like full of stuff like that where you just didn't know ahead of time.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Other than the boss battles, I think the backtracking is probably the only other part of this game that I didn't care for. Because it's not really introducing anything new. It's just, okay, go back through what you went through the other way this time.
So I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Do you think being a musician gives you an advantage in games like this?
I would pretty much say I know being a musician probably gives me an advantage in games like this.
Just dealing with rhythm more frequently and everything?
It's hard to say because I haven't been on the other end of that for quite a few years now.
Sure.
But yeah, most likely. I mean, how could it not? You're more keyed into rhythm just by playing music.
Yeah.
So this kind of thing would probably, by necessity, feel a lot more natural. Yeah, here's where the patience part of the game kind of comes into play. Because they alternate, because they're on a 3 basis. So sometimes they're on for the long haul, and then sometimes they're off for the long haul, like right there. And now it's back on because it's on 3s. So yeah, you have to wait it through. Because I don't think there's enough time to make that jump on the short beats. I could be wrong, though. I never tried.
Probably helps if it's like maybe if you're super familiar with the game, you could do it because you know exactly what to do. But starting off, wow.
Yeah, this part here, it fools you into thinking you need to stay there. No, that'll just kill you when you try to do what you need to do. So yeah, you got to be up there and then in order to make the jump. It's just funny to me how the control feel can change depending on the situation. Like for most of the game, the controls felt really smooth and just right for the kind of challenges that were being put forth. But for certain jumps and for that part that, if you noticed all the fast forwarding, I kind of struggled with it. It just feels a little bit sluggish suddenly, so... And I mean, that's probably by intent, but it's just something that I noticed. Found interesting. Mr. Heidi Ball wants to play another game. I'm onto him, though.
How'd you know he'd be in the second one instead of the first one?
Like I said, this is my second playthrough of this. And I remembered that bit. He changes pits.
Advantage. Gotcha.
Here we have a new mechanic.
That leads you to death, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it changes gravity in time with the music for a short period of time.
So is that just happening automatically?
Yes.
Okay.
And it kind of messes with your head more than you think it would until you're playing it. Because it's not like the horizontal trajectory is changing at all. You're just being moved up and down, but that's apparently enough.
The added bit of the music speeding up is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's just a really good job that he did with integrating all that. I like this little scare point right here. Feels like we're about ready for another ball. I think it's ball time soon. It's ball time.
Oh, get back here, jerk.
Now you're getting into the feel of the game. I mean, that right there is a success for the programmer. I gave a circle attitude. I think this part's my favorite bit in the game.
The gravity stuff, or the
this part right here
what's
specifically.
about to happen?
Because you really need to understand everything that's going on in order to succeed. And whenever I just feel like that's such a well done part of the game. And now we're at the second boss battle.
All right.
I think this is one of the weaknesses of the game, is the boss battles, because it completely changes the entire genre. And
Yeah, it's basically
paradigm.
a shooter now. I mean, I guess, sometimes changing it up's not necessarily a bad thing. It keeps things from being stale.
So you need to pay attention here. The top always goes first, and then the bottom. If you don't figure that out, you're going to have a really hard time with this part.
Could see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little too slow there. So, back there we are. Okay, here's where it gets a little mean. This is strictly rhythm based here. I figured out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to be moving on the 2 by the time it hits that 2 beat, otherwise he's gonna hit you. Once you figure that out, the whole boss is elementary.
So, did I understand that correctly, that there are checkpoints here? Like,
Yes, whenever it changes color.
You don't have to restart the whole boss battle again.
You don't have to restart the entire one like you did with the first one if you died.
Okay.
But with this one, yeah, whenever it changes color on the background, that's your checkpoint.
Okay.
I guess he just got bored with me there. And now we're back. So all that leaves now is level last.
Pretty quick game.
There's not much to it. I have a feeling with a concept like this, there's a whole lot of programming and thought that needs to go into it.
I'm sure there is. And if the programmer's not a musician, then he's certainly got to have a musician he can work really well with.
So this part of the game is kind of a greatest hits of all of the elements from the other 2 levels, as well as introducing some really neat new challenges, which we will be getting to rather quickly, because everything seems to move pretty quickly in this game. Even the patience parts, once you know what you have to do. I like the simplicity of this puzzle, compared to how opaque it seems when you're first looking at it. Because at first I didn't know how you were supposed to get across, and then, yeah, it really is just as simple as going as far as you can each time. I wasn't wasting any time with Mr. Attitude Circle this time. Time to hide from me for too long. Yeah, you want rhythm-based, yeah, here we go. If you're not keyed into the rhythms by this point, you're gonna have a hard time.
I'm like sitting here and I'm like trying to come up with a story for this game.
Well, it wouldn't be you if you didn't.
The music people and the static people are enemies. Like, what is, like, that's like infringing upon their universe or something. That's why it kills you. It's dangerous.
The static people are just a bunch of old timers. Turn that music down, that dubstepper or whatever. And this part right here must be my least favorite part. Because there's not much forgiveness for where you're at. For the hitbox to hit.
Gotcha. The timing doesn't seem too bad, though.
It doesn't until you try to do it. I had a lot of problems with that, especially my first time through. It's a lot more precise than it looks.
You had it.
Watch this. Nope, 3, dumbass, not 2.
That's an ugly orange.
I don't know why I did that. You may notice that I am doing a bit more fast forwarding at this part of the game than others up to this point. It's because it's getting a little bit more difficult, as it should, when you're this far into the game. Once again, I cannot praise this enough for how smooth and well done the difficulty curve was for the levels. Yeah, there's a very particular way you gotta get through some of these.
I just know you need to hurry up and find that circle because this orange is ugly.
Oh, you mean you wouldn't want to get a car or paint a house this color?
No, especially with the purple, it's not mixing well.
Get a shirt and pants combo that are these colors.
You just waited for him to come to you, huh?
Garish, the new line from 140. Alright, there you go. Green and yellow. How about
Change
that?
it up. It's much better. I see you were thinking about it too.
Trying to remember what I'm supposed to do here and mostly what's next. There's not much to it, just make sure that you're not still on it when it changes.
Right.
Because you will die.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. Now these change, okay. Alternate, I should say. They're all changing.
One thing that is a flaw here, though, is if you are up against the wall when it turns to static, even if you're not pushing into it, if you're just standing there, you're dead. It hitboxes you right there.
Hitbox thing, gotcha.
So you'll see I'm kind of careful about that.
Yeah. Doesn't take much.
That's a neat touch. The music goes muffled whenever you're between the two right there.
Oh, it gotcha.
Yep. And you see the checkpoints are getting a little bit further between now.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. I was almost against the wall and I would have gotten it when it turned.
Trying to lull you into a false sense of security here?
Alright, yeah, this is, this takes a little bit of thought here.
Yeah.
And that's the secret. Be right under it, and then be ready to jump as soon as that beat happens. This got me a couple of times, too. You need to get the ball, and you think just jump to the left. No, you'll get crushed.
Oh.
And that's not the last gotcha. They have one more here. Yeah, you try to jump there, it's gonna get you.
Gotta have patience.
That's kind of the name of this game, yeah. This part of the game speaks for itself, beyond just making one thing clear. The triangle corresponds to what direction I push, so I'm pushing like left, down, right, up, and that's where the triangle's gonna point.
Gotcha. Okay, so you... Okay.
The triangles will go in whatever direction they're pointing after you shoot.
Right.
So your point is to shoot the ones that are pointing at you.
Right. Gotcha. Keep yourself safe. And you got only so much time before you can figure that out. I imagine eventually there's gonna be more than one at a time.
No, you'll see what happens.
Okay.
So what happened there?
Oh, did it switch directions on you?
It does one, and then it does two. And it alternates between 1 and 2.
Oh, that's maddening.
You haven't seen maddening yet. Just wait. Wait for round 3. This is that final boss I was telling you about.
Oh boy.
Okay, watch this. I've been looking forward to hearing your reaction since I played this.
Is this gonna be like 3 now?
No, I wish.
But... Oh.
It still keeps to the 1 and 2 beats.
But it changes on you.
And it's a different thing each time. It's not like you can know, okay, it's going to be down next time, it's going to be right next time. No, it's always different. So you have to be really keyed in.
You have to be paying attention and... Wow.
And sometimes it'll pull something like that.
Ugh. It'll make you dizzy. 10 minutes,
Yep.
wow. That might be about the point where I would say, you know what, F this.
Oh yeah, I was saying that, and I was making poetry with those kind of words, actually, by this point. And once again, this is the second time I played it, so I had already beaten it once, and I still had 10 minutes worth of trouble with it.
Right. Did you kill the music?
It sounds like I killed the game, doesn't it?
Almost, yeah.
No, I gotta admit, this is fucking cool.
You unlocked the key to the static world.
All hail, king of the static, on my bubblegum ziggurat.
Let's just soak it in.
The end?
Now we're back to the title screen.
That's it, huh?
Not quite.
Not quite?
I mean, if you're watching the non-commentary version, then yeah, this is the end. But since we're not, and
Since you
we're
can hear us right
commentating,
now, clearly
yeah,
you're not.
there's a little bit more for you. You see, we're back here in the first room. We can play through levels 1, 2, and 3 again. Or we can keep going past the hole and see levels 4, 5, and 6. So what do you think the gimmick here is?
It's very little music. I don't know. You going backwards?
That's the first level, just reversed, and with the colors, I think negatived, because everything's a lot brighter now.
But otherwise, it's the same.
Pretty much. There is one other difference, too.
I would hope so, because otherwise it'd be kind of boring.
Right. Alright, I'm speeding this up because we've seen this already in the other direction.
I mean, is the boss gonna be different? I mean...
Maybe. It's not so much that something's different, it's that something isn't there. While we're going through all this, what did you think of this? Especially in comparison to the other modern indie type platformers that you've seen over the past couple months.
I think the rhythm adds an interesting mechanic to it. It's good music, which helps.
I think it was really well done. See if we can catch a Noyo bot here again.
Oh, there's no checkpoints.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's good if you want something challenging.
Oh, that certainly would be. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It just seems a little boring after you've already played through it.
Probably so. I don't know. If you're really into
I
the
don't know.
game.
But I guess, you know, I mean, yeah, if you want to do another playthrough or whatever on a harder difficulty, that's the way to do it.
That's it. You're done. You want to play it, you gotta start over. And that's at the point where it's like, okay, that's enough. I don't need to get those achievements. So that's 140.
Neat little game.
Needs a better name.